The teaching of non-self. The Buddha's deep second sermon on letting go of the self we cling to. According to the tradition, after the 5 monks accepted the Buddha's teaching, and the first Sangha began, the Buddha gave them another deep teaching. In the first sermon, he had taught the middle way, the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the ending of suffering, and the path that leads to the ending of suffering. Khandana's eye of Dharma had opened. The other monks had also received the Dharma, and the first community of monks had begun to form around the Buddha. But the path did not end there. The Buddha now guided them to look even more deeply. He asked them to look at the thing people hold most tightly. He asked them to look at the idea of I, me, and mine. This teaching is remembered as the teaching of non-self. It is a teaching about the body, feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. It is a teaching about seeing clearly that what changes, what depends on conditions, and what cannot be fully controlled should not be clung to as a permanent self. Tonight's story follows that deep teaching in Deer Park, where the Buddha helped the first monks let go of the self they had been carrying so heavily. Deer Park was quiet. The forest that had heard the first turning of the Dharma wheel was still gentle and calm. The 5 monks remained near the Buddha, listening, practicing, and learning to walk the path. They were no longer the same ascetics, who had once believed that tormenting the body was the only way to liberation. They had heard the middle way. They had heard the 4 noble truths. They had begun to understand that suffering must be understood, its cause abandoned, its ending realized, and the path cultivated. Yet old clinging does not disappear all at once. Even after a person sees that suffering has a cause, the mind may still hold tightly to something deeper. It may still say, this is my body. This is my feeling. This is my thought. This is my memory. This is my will. This is my mind. This is myself. The Buddha saw this. He saw that the root of suffering goes very deep. People do not only cling to pleasure. They do not only cling to wealth, praise, comfort, and views. They also cling to the very feeling of being a fixed self. They cling to the thought, this is what I am. They cling to the thought, this is mine. They cling to the thought, this is my true self. Because of that clinging, the heart trembles when things change. When the body grows old, the heart is afraid. When feelings change, the heart is shaken. When thoughts arise and pass, the heart believes it has become those thoughts. When memories hurt, the heart says, this wound is me. When praise comes, the heart grows. When blame comes, the heart shrinks. Again and again, the mind builds a self out of things that do not stay. The Buddha wished to show the 5 monks a way beyond this burden. He looked at them with compassion and spoke. Monks, the body is not self. If the body were truly self, it would not lead to affliction. One could say of the body, let it be this way, let it not be that way. But the body does not obey in that way. The body changes, grows sick, grows old, and breaks down. Therefore, do not cling to the body as self. The words settled into the stillness of Deer Park. The body is very close to us. Because it is close, we easily call it me. We look at the face and say, this is me. We feel strength and say, this is me. We feel pain and say, I am broken. We see youth fade and feel that we are fading. We see illness come and feel that we have lost control. But the body is changing every moment. The body of childhood is not the body of old age. The body of yesterday is not exactly the body of today. Health can become sickness. Strength can become weakness. Beauty can fade. Energy can fall away. No one can command the body perfectly. No one can say, never grow old. No one can say, never be sick. No one can say, remain exactly as I want. The Buddha was not teaching hatred of the body. He was not teaching neglect of the body. He was teaching freedom from clinging to the body as a fixed self. To care for the body is wise. To believe the body is a permanent self is suffering. Then the Buddha spoke again. Monks, feeling is not self. Pleasant feeling does not remain. Painful feeling does not remain. Neither pleasant nor painful feeling does not remain. Feelings arise and pass according to conditions. Therefore, do not cling to feeling as self. Feelings move like waves. A kind word can make the heart bright. A harsh word can make the heart heavy. A pleasant taste, a beautiful sound, a warm touch, an old memory, or a sudden fear can bring feeling into the mind. When pleasant feeling comes, the heart wants it to stay. When painful feeling comes, the heart wants it to disappear. When dull feeling comes, the heart looks for something else. But no feeling remains forever. Pleasure fades. Pain changes. Neutral feeling shifts. If a person clings to feeling as self, then the self becomes as unstable as a wave. When pleasure comes, the heart says, I am happy. When pleasure leaves, the heart says, I have lost myself. When pain comes, the heart says, I am pain. When numbness comes, the heart says, I am empty. The Buddha was not saying that feelings should be destroyed. He was showing that feelings should be known as feelings. They are experiences that arise and pass. They are not a permanent self. When the heart sees this clearly, it does not need to be ruled by every passing wave. Then the Buddha spoke of perception. Monks, perception is not self. The mind recognizes, names, remembers, and judges. It says, this is pleasant, this is painful, this is mine, this is not mine. But perception also arises through conditions and passes through conditions. Therefore, do not cling to perception as self. People often build their identity from what they remember and recognize. I am this kind of person. I had this past. I like this. I hate that. I was wounded in this way. I succeeded in this way. I failed in this way. Perception and memory help us live. They help us recognize the world. They help us understand what has happened. But they are not fixed. The same memory may feel different after many years. A person once hated may later be understood. A belief once held firmly may fall away. A shameful event may later become a source of wisdom. What we recognize and how we interpret it depend on many conditions. Mood, age, fear, desire, habit, and wisdom all change the way we see. If perception were truly self, it would not change like this. But perception does change, so the Buddha taught the monks not to cling to it as I or mine. Then the Buddha spoke of mental formations. Monks, mental formations are not self. Intentions, desires, choices, habits, efforts, fears, and reactions arise through conditions. What arises through conditions changes when conditions change. Therefore, do not cling to mental formations as self. This teaching reaches deeply into the heart. We often believe that our intentions and reactions are the most personal things about us. I want this. I hate this. I choose this. I cannot forgive this. I will become this. I will never become that. But even these movements of the mind arise through conditions. A tired body may make anger easier. An old wound may make fear stronger. A kind environment may help patience grow. Repeated habits may make craving return again and again. A single word may awaken pride, shame, longing, or resentment. The Buddha was not saying that we have no responsibility. He was teaching us to see more clearly. When mental formations are seen as conditioned, the heart can begin to work with the conditions. Anger is not turned into identity. Fear is not turned into identity. Desire is not turned into identity. Instead of saying, this is who I am, the heart can ask, what conditions gave rise to this? What am I feeding? What can I release? What can I cultivate? This seeing opens the possibility of freedom. Finally, the Buddha spoke of consciousness. Monks, consciousness is not self. Seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, smelling consciousness, tasting consciousness, touching consciousness, and thinking consciousness arise depending on conditions. When conditions come together, consciousness appears. When conditions pass, consciousness changes. Therefore, do not cling to consciousness as self. This was a very deep teaching. Even if someone sees that the body changes, feelings change, thoughts change, and habits change, they may still believe there is a hidden watcher inside that does not change. They may think, this knowing itself is my true self. But the Buddha pointed even there. Seeing arises with the eye and forms. Hearing arises with the ear and sounds. Smelling arises with the nose and scents. Tasting arises with the tongue and flavors. Touching arises with the body and contact. Thinking arises with the mind and thoughts. Consciousness appears through conditions. It is not a fixed owner behind experience. It is part of the flow. The teaching of non-self is not a cold teaching. It does not say that life has no meaning. It does not say that we should hate ourselves. It does not say that nothing matters. It shows that what we call self is made of changing processes. Body changes, feeling changes, Perception changes, mental formations change, consciousness changes. When we cling to these changing things as a fixed self, suffering arises. When we see them clearly as changing, conditioned, and not self, the grip begins to loosen. The Buddha then questioned the 5 monks. "Monks, what do you think? Is the body permanent or impermanent?" The monks answered, "Impermanent, blessed one." The Buddha asked, "What is impermanent, is it suffering or happiness?" They answered, "Suffering, blessed one." The Buddha asked, "What is impermanent, suffering, and subject to change? Is it fitting to regard it as this is mine, this I am, this is myself?" The monks answered, "No, blessed one." In this way, the Buddha guided them to examine each part of experience. Feeling is impermanent. Perception is impermanent. Mental formations are impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. What is impermanent cannot be a safe refuge for a permanent self. What is changing cannot be possessed completely. What depends on conditions cannot be controlled absolutely. The monks listened deeply. They were not merely hearing ideas. They were looking directly into experience. They saw the body as body. They saw feeling as feeling. They saw perception as perception. They saw mental formations as mental formations. They saw consciousness as consciousness. And they began to stop saying, "This is mine, this I am, this is myself." This does not mean they became empty in a lifeless way. It means they became lighter. The burden of defending a fixed self began to soften. The fear of change began to weaken. The need to cling to every feeling, every thought, every identity, and every wound began to loosen. To let go of the self we cling to is not to disappear. It is to stop carrying what was never truly solid. It is to stop trying to freeze a river. It is to stop asking waves to become stone. It is to stop building a prison out of memory, feeling, and fear. When the mind no longer clings so tightly, there is space. In that space, the body can be cared for without being worshipped as self. Feelings can be felt without becoming identity. Thoughts can be known without becoming chains. Habits can be understood without becoming fate. Consciousness can arise and pass without being turned into a hidden owner. This is the kindness of the teaching. Non-self is not an attack on life. It is a release from a painful misunderstanding. The Buddha did not teach non-self to make the monks feel small. He taught it so their hearts could become free. He did not say, "You are nothing," in order to create despair. He showed that what they clung to as self was unstable, and that clinging to the unstable brings suffering. Seeing this clearly, the heart can let go. According to the tradition, as the 5 monks listened to this teaching, their minds were liberated. They saw deeply. They understood that there was nothing in the 5 aggregates to cling to as I or mine. The Dharma that had first opened the path now reached the root of clinging. The first sermon had shown the way. The teaching of non-self showed what must be released along the way. The 5 monks were no longer merely followers. They became those who had seen the truth for themselves. The Sangha was now rooted more deeply in realization. This teaching also speaks to our own lives. We may not sit in Deer Park before the Buddha, but we know the burden of self. We carry the body as self. We carry feelings as self. We carry stories as self. We carry wounds as self. We carry pride, shame, success, failure, fear, desire, and memory as self. Again and again, we say, "This is me." But when these things change, we suffer as if our deepest being has been damaged. A feeling changes, and we panic. A role ends, and we feel lost. A body weakens, and we feel diminished. A memory returns, and we become the old wound again. A thought arises, and we believe it is the whole truth. The teaching of non-self invites us to pause. It invites us to look gently. Is this body changing? Is this feeling changing? Is this thought changing? Is this story changing? Is this fear changing? If it is changing, can it be held as a permanent self? If it cannot be held, must I cling to it so tightly? This reflection is not meant to make us reject ourselves. It is meant to help us hold life more lightly. We can care for the body without saying the body is all that we are. We can feel emotion without becoming trapped inside emotion. We can remember the past without living forever inside the past. We can have thoughts without bowing to every thought as truth. We can act, love, practice, and live with sincerity, while knowing that everything is moving. In this way, non-self becomes a path of gentleness. It helps us stop fighting change. It helps us stop defending every image of ourselves. It helps us stop turning pain into identity. It helps us meet life as a flow, not as a possession. The self we cling to is heavy. It must be protected. It must be praised. It fears insult. It fears loss. It fears aging. It fears being forgotten. It fears not being enough. But when that clinging softens, even a little, the heart can breathe. There is less to defend. There is less to prove. There is less to carry. The Buddha's teaching of non-self is deep, but it is also very practical. In a moment of anger, we can see, anger has arisen, but this is not my permanent self. In a moment of sadness, we can see, sadness is present, but this is not all that I am. In a moment of pride, we can see, pride has arisen through conditions, and it too will pass. In a moment of fear, we can see, fear is known, and because it is known, it can be held with wisdom. This is how the teaching enters daily life. Not as an idea to repeat. Not as a belief to defend. But as a way of seeing. The Buddha did not ask the monks to believe blindly. He asked them to look. Look at the body. Look at feeling. Look at perception. Look at mental formations. Look at consciousness. See whether they are permanent or impermanent. See whether what is impermanent can be safely clung to as self. See whether clinging brings peace or suffering. And when seeing becomes clear, release follows naturally. The teaching of non-self is like loosening a hand that has been closed for a long time. At first, opening the hand may feel frightening. The mind may wonder what will remain if it does not cling. But when the hand opens, the heart discovers space. It discovers that life can be lived without being possessed so tightly. It discovers that peace is not found by making a permanent self out of changing things. Peace begins when changing things are seen as changing things. Body as body, feeling as feeling, thought as thought, memory as memory, consciousness as consciousness, arising and passing, known but not clung to, touched but not possessed, experienced but not turned into a prison. In the quiet deer park, the Buddha gave this deep teaching to the 5 monks. And in that teaching, the path became clearer. Suffering comes from clinging. Among all clinging, clinging to self is the most subtle and deep. When that clinging is seen through, the heart moves toward freedom. May we also learn to look gently at what we call me and mine. May we see the changing body without hatred. May we feel changing emotions without fear. May we notice thoughts and memories without turning them into chains. May we stop trying to build a permanent self out of passing things. And may the heavy burden of I, me, and mine slowly become lighter, until the heart can rest in a wider and quieter peace.